Ladies and gentlemen, do I have a treat for you today? Today's topic is psychedelics, and I'm here with the CEO and co-founder of Lokahi Holistic Healing and Sanctuary. But before we even get to that, let me get to me real quick and my experiences with psychedelics. A lot of you are going to find this shocking, but originally when I first heard of microdosing psilocybin even, I heard it from the Palo Alto crowd. What they were doing was using it as nootropics. And by the way, before we discuss nootropics, so you get along with that, is this. I've told you all, anything that activates me and makes me more productive, I am into. So when I heard they were using it as a nootropic initially, my biggest thing was, how would the application work? There was all this stigma on top of it. What would this feel like? Are you really taking a trip? Are they really using the drug and overdoing it? But typically that's not what they do. So I was kind of curious. So believe it or not, once upon a time, Marjorie had me over for brunch. And I developed quite a relationship, and as a client, I had her husband. And we're kind of going through stages of life one by one. We'd worked out that day at 9 a.m. and I come through for brunch at the last minute. And after concluding brunch, I figured I'm gonna pass out, do a blood sugar hit on their couch. The spread of food was amazing. Wow, did I have a great time eating. And I thought I would just sit down and take a nap, believe it or not. But they called me into the room and I actually watched them consume some, and I thought, well, they asked me, would you like to try? And I'm looking around and I remember mentioning, man, if this goes sideways, I'm here for the next 6 hours. And they said, make yourself at home. So I took a shot. Things I first learned upon first consuming it. I didn't have the blood sugar hit. The focus and mental clarity I had for the next 2.5 hours was out of control, insane. But still, I wasn't completely a believer at that time. Until I had symptoms of myasthenia gravis again. And I thought, there's no way this is going to work. And I didn't sleep 2 days in a row. I'm having symptoms. I wanted to go squat. And I remembered he had given me some extra. So I decided to try some and go to the rack. The performance was nothing short of insane. Still, I'm not completely quite sold. I just know something here is performance enhancing. So I remember calling Marjorie at the time and asking for everything on literature she had performance based. What I really should have asked for was everything she had on it anti-inflammatory based. Because at the time, I couldn't believe I would later need it to modulate my symptoms. You see, I had a delay in my IV Solaris, which, by the way, is a immunosuppressive drug. They go through the IV with less side effects. At the time, I'm trying to go to the insurance. By the time I got a delivery, we're a few days late, and I am in a full-blown crisis. I remember sitting there one day, and her husband running back to the house to go get me some to bring it. He said, you need it, don't you? I said, yeah. The symptoms vanished within 25 minutes. All of a sudden, I could operate and function for the next 72 hours till I got the drug. Now, I know there's some stigma on psilocybin, but the way I was suffering, man. I know there's going to continue to be some criticism, but I think what you need to do in this particular case is be open-minded. I'm going to get some blowback on this one, and I really have no problem with that, because if you can't swallow and you can't breathe, don't ever tell me about what I'm doing. Without further ado, let me introduce Marjorie Brooke.
Aloha. Such a pleasure to be here.
So, darling, I'm going to start the questions first. How typical was my response?
It's pretty typical. We hear this quite a bit with quite a few people, and I really appreciate your vulnerability and you explaining how you felt, what you go through, what you've been through, and what it looked like on the other side.
I think the question I really want to ask you, man, is the one side effect I had that we've talked about is dreaming. How common is that? Like, I mean, I didn't dream before at all. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm having, shall we say, I don't want to call it clairvoyant, but Along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's something we've heard about before. And it really also can depend on what time of day you're taking it. So typically, if it's going to be a dose or microdose that you're taking closer to a bedtime, then you could have more lucid dreams, more clairvoyant dreams, as you're saying, versus taking it maybe in the morning time or mid-afternoon as a microdose, and you're really focused on this like optimal performing at that point in time. So from the neuroscience perspective, it really depends on time of day you're taking the dose.
Okay. How often are you getting the anti-inflammatory dose I got? Or, I'm sorry, the anti-inflammatory response I received?
Always.
Really?
Always.
The other thing I wanted to point out is I really wasn't in a depressed state, or at least I didn't think so. I had drive, focus, clarity. But, oh my God, I was driven to accomplish everything in the world. The sky could have fell around me. I could have sat in the eye of the tornado, Indian style.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild. How often do you get that response?
Always. Yeah, it's pretty tried and true. We always hear the same exact things from people every time, whether it's clarity, focus, more joy, the anti-inflammatory proponents. I mean, it's always going to start in the brain first. It's always going to start with the neuroplasticity or in the neuroregeneration and neurogenesis first here. So we can work on things cognitively and act as the anti-inflammatory in the brain, but then it systemically floods the entire body in that way.
Now, the way it was explained to me is it's dose dependent for a lot of people.
So I think there's this really big misconception, you know, as I've been on this speaking tour all over the country, where people think it's dosed based on your height and weight, and it's not. It's not a height weight based kind of dosage. It really is something where it depends on almost the type of individual that you're working with. But I could have somebody like you or an NFL player who's also on the same dosage as somebody who is, you know, 22 years old and 5'4" female who weighs maybe 95 pounds.
I think what I want to ask is kind of like this then. You know, when Pedro first gave me I was basically doubling the dose.
Yeah.
And it would work like a rock star. And then the last time he gave me the strongest, he warned me it was strong. And I still didn't listen, and I decided to take 2. And for the next hour, I'm nauseated beyond belief. Okay. And then after an hour, I go to the restroom thinking I'm going to throw it up. And I basically go through the motions of throwing up and sort of dry heave something, but nothing actually comes out. I lay down for about 8 minutes after that, and for the next 36 hours, I'm the rock star of the year. Explain that.
I mean, to me, what that usually spells is actually energy. It's an energetic thing because understanding just the compound of psilocybin, or what can be referred to often as magic mushrooms, is it has an intelligence to it. So psilocybin has this intelligence, and when you are taking, in this case that you're referencing, and took too much, when I hear that, it's something that energetically was trying to be released from you in that way.
So basically, I dry heave toxins out that were blocking the signaling, and then all of a sudden
Yeah. And that goes into a whole different kind of discussion, because our bodies can hold different traumas in them. And so the medicine can kind of seek it out within you in that way. Because psilocybin is something that you can't overdose, ever. You cannot overdose on psilocybin.
Well, clearly not, because I could get it out, right? Yeah.
And it's non-addictive. So the way that the receptors work in the brain, it's a non-addictive component.
Talk a little bit about that, only because the one thing I keep getting asked is, are you sure it's not addictive? Are you sure it's not addictive?
Yeah. And this is part of the educational part, right? Because it's been so stigmatized over the years that it's really allowing people to understand the different components of it. Yeah. So it works on a specific receptor in the brain that is it doesn't attach to that receptor in that kind of way as alcohol would, or cannabis, or a million different others, SSRIs that people are on.
We'll talk about that as we go along as a replacement for an SSRI, because you always hear this every time. I've been on SSRI for 16 years. Yeah, and you thought at what point it might kick in?
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
But I think the part I want to really get into is, who are you treating? Like, that's what my audience really wants to know.
We work very concierge based, and our main focus is optimizing people's human performance and longevity.
You're on the right show. Okay, but we'll get to that further. But when I say treating, what symptoms do they come in complaining of?
It's a host of different symptoms, because we all are not the same. So we all have our own blueprint, and it's a matter of really decoding that for that individual specifically, finding what that key is for that person to be optimized and transformed in that way. So, I mean, at Lokahi Holistic Healing, we work everywhere from children and adolescents and peds from 9 years old to 80 years old. So it runs a whole gamut, and individuals come to us for a host of different reasons, whether it was something like your autoimmune issues, or someone that comes to us looking for, as an athlete or an NFL player or plays for the UFC that's looking for optimization in their game. It's kind of like, to us, and I think something you can relate to in what you do, is you don't miss leg day, right?
Yeah,
you don't miss arm day. And for us, it's also working on the mental muscle every day.
I first got into nootropics. The first one I ever tried was about 26 years old, L-tyrosine. And I did that for performance.
Yeah.
I recognized right away, the more motor units you could recruit in the brain,
Yes.
the more the force application would improve.
Right.
But with microdosing, and on the periods I microdose, and I'll go off it and on it on purpose, just to kind of see the responses. Right. The cognitive function is crazy, but so is the reaction time and the activity.
Yeah.
It's insane. The frequency, if I run a frequency drill, it's wild how the progression will be.
Yeah. And I loved just, how organic our first meeting was, and with Pedro, and then hearing about your story. And right away, I can say, I know this is going to help you, but it's you wanting to try that, you being ready to experience it. And I love the fact that when we met and you trying it, it was really being hyper analytical, really feeling through it, really wanting the knowledge. This is how you function in all the things that you do. So I understand you coming on and off to test it, going, wait, is it really this? Is it working this incredibly, or is it that, and really saying, I'm going to back off and try it, and then starting again going, oh my gosh, this is the thing that's really making the difference.
For the audience who doesn't understand, this is who Marjorie really is all the time. So what I do is, and I'm well aware of this, and if you know me and you know me well, I'm rather condescending. So I would walk in the house on a regular basis and I would tell her, Marjorie, let's fight. Okay. And she would react just like this every time. And everybody knows she has this glow about her. So it was always condescending on purpose, but I wanted to get the data. So what I would do is walk in and, what do you got on this? What do you got on that? What's the research on this? Have you seen that? What did you get from Denver on this? Because I knew you were at a conference at that time, and I was really trying to push on that.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted the performance stuff for it. I wanted the cognitive function things for it. I wanted to understand the anti-inflammatory effect. Hey, somebody want to explain to me why my left ankle felt better too?
Yeah.
So I remember going at all those things, and I remember flooding her, and I remember her being this so patient and not overwhelmed. So it's something I've always appreciated, right? And it's something I've always appreciated about you. And man, sometimes we talk about gratitude, right? And I really never always say thank you. Like, I really put you through the ringer to try to get to this particular point just to feel better, but I wanted to understand. It wasn't always sometimes for just me. It's who do I help next with this? How does this go? The part of the show is to be everybody's advocate. Well, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's between me and you. That's something I've always wanted you to understand.
Oh, thank you. No, mahalo, really, I appreciate that, because I think in what we do, even though it's different, it's so complementary, because we want to see people reach their highest potential. We want to see people optimized. We want to see people successful.
Right.
We want to promote their well-being and their longevity and biohack them in the best, most natural ways as possible. So it really ties in that way. And you can ask me and question me on things all day long, because the nerdy part just kicks in on, on the science of things.
No, okay. So, which I want the audience to understand also as well is, I always tell Marjorie she does exactly what I do. We just do it differently.
Right.
I kind of scream, yell, and stomp my feet, and she smiles at you and kind of twists your finger a little bit. It's really wild, but it's to get to the same point of therapy at that point.
Right.
Okay. So I've attended a number of your meetings, and I did that even before.
Yeah.
Just to go with you guys, just to see, even before trying psilocybin. And I'd watched a lot of people, and I would listen to the stories. Are you comfortable with elaborating on the stories?
Yeah, I mean, we always...
We can keep it from individual. It doesn't
of course,
have to be
we always
names,
keep
but,
everyone's
right.
information
But
confidential.
what I watch is, I've watched everything. I've watched grieving people sort of detox it.
Yeah.
I've watched... I'm always going to remember I'm sitting at a story and I'm thinking I'm going to hear all victim stories, and I'm sitting at the table. And I'm like, yo, there's nobody here who's had harder than me. And then I listen to a story and I almost want to throw up. And then I want to get off the table because I don't belong there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think, there's somebody, you sometimes don't feel like somebody's had it harder than you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, could they burn me 3 more times?
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I'm going to expand on to ayahuasca and combo and other psychedelic ways of detoxing the body. Now, obviously, for the audience, this isn't recreational. Right. And these are guided tours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I mean, it's important for us. I mean, I'm Native Hawaiian and Indigenous Native American. Chinese, have a background in traditional Chinese medicine as well. So it's really, really honoring every one of these, as we refer to them as sacred medicines, with deep, deep reverence for them. Again, they all have an intelligence. They all have a different purpose, a different meaning. Yes, they fall under this umbrella of psychedelics, but they all work in very specific individual ways. So just as each one of us is not the same, and we all, again, have our own blueprint and our own reasons why, that's how we kind of dictate, navigate the different medicines, is what is your why? What is your intention? What are you ailing from, or what do you want to be optimized from? So you can have someone who has really, really deep-seated trauma, right? But then you could have someone who comes to us, again, that's an athlete saying, I'm looking to optimize my game. And then then we'll hear back from them after being on a microdose protocol and seeing them play on NFL Sunday, and then go, Marjorie, I knew where the ball was going to go before it was even thrown. Right? Right.
Instinctually, they're activated or heightened.
Or somebody in, that is selling their business for a couple $100 million and said, this was my baby, and now I'm looking to know what's next for me, and I want to optimize my game. And they'll say, I had business meetings, and it was like I knew what people were saying before they were going to say it. It's new level. It takes you to a new level. But then again, you have people really healing from significant deep traumas in their life, or childhood traumas, adult traumas. Everyone has their different paths, like you said. It's not comparing somebody else's journey from another, or someone else's traumas in life to somebody else's. It's just meeting people where they are and really being able to transform that from them so they can release it.
Do you think part of the healing journey is that awareness?
100%. I think self-awareness is so important. Nothing can happen without the self-awareness. But then once you have the self-awareness, where do you go from there? You have to take action.
Right.
And that resonates with us, right? Because we're so action-oriented.
It does, yes.
But some people can still get stuck in that, and then, they'll find their way back, to us. Because for us too, it's really using a lot of discernment and being able to say to people, you're not ready for this. You need to take more time. Let's do this first. How's your breath work? How's your meditation? How's your movement? How's your sleep? How's your nutrition?
Is that your screener for whether you're ready or not?
We're very clinical. We're very clinically based because that's the most responsible way we feel to really be in this space. So a lot of transparency, very clinically based. There's a lot of different health questions that we have to run you through to make sure this is right for you. And that you'll be able to also, again, receive this type of transformation and again, optimization in using this medicine with reverence. Setting your intention first.
So you're optimizing lifestyle choices before you go to it?
Yes.
Okay. I understood. That's better. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like sometimes everybody in this world, whether it's hormone replacement or anything else, they think it's the magic olive rather than I need to put the strategies in place first and this will take me over the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That they're expecting a response that they never quite get.
Yes.
Because they don't put the other pieces in place.
Yes.
Right.
And oftentimes that's been the case as well. I mean, we've had people come to us saying and hoping this is the magic bullet. Yeah. I think, and to tie back in what you said before with the amount of people that come to us on SSRIs. So SSRIs are antidepressant or anti-anxiety medications that have been on them. It doesn't matter if it's been 1 year or I've had somebody for 27 years that basically has completely diminished the entire brain's natural ability to create natural chemical responses to things.
Well, it's inhibiting your serotonin and just regenerating the direction it goes in.
Correct.
Right.
So we have spent, and again, depending on that individual, a lot of time carefully titrating down and then off of their SSRIs.
How many instances have you seen a physician where they just cold turkey take an SSRI and what happens to the patient?
It's terrible. And we hear this. I mean, we've heard this so many different times where even a physician didn't let the patient know that you need to titrate.
Titrate it down, right.
Yeah.
So
then we're getting emergency phone calls of having suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts or self-harm, harming to people that are with them as well, and they have no idea where this came from. And I'm like, this is not their fault.
It's blatantly irresponsible.
It's 100%.
I said it to you tonight.
It's 100%. It really is. And we don't want to see anybody handcuffed to anything.
Right, exactly.
Anything, then that's why we look at this whole person and really navigate it in this way. And then we can add in this microdosing in place of their SSRIs, but something that's non-addictive, right?
Right.
That then the really truly the biggest joy that then comes to us is when people say to us, thank you for bringing joy back into my life. And it's radical. I mean, this is again, with when it has to do with these SSRIs that people are on.
Forgive me, let me explain to the audience. Marjorie has this way of doing things where we go through a protocol where it starts with deep breathing, it starts with awareness, it starts with nature. There's a grounding effect, there's a gratitude effect. And because of that, at times, you're going to find she brings them into a space before they get there. And I think I want to explain that to the audience a little bit more. Yeah. And I think why those people got on SSRIs is maybe we lacked those qualities prior.
Yes.
In a lot of cases, so we weren't able to ground into that effect.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Whether that's even faith-based or not. Usually there's something missing in that quotient.
Yeah. agree. And it can be something where, I think in the larger Western medical space, is that easy just prescription that people just hand off the prescription.
Candy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they find their way again to us somehow. And I think at Lokahi Holistic Healing, it's creating this really beautiful weave of taking science-backed evidence in the Western medicine world and weaving it with the Eastern medicine world. And that's where the holistic modalities really come into play in this beautiful weave. And I'm all about the science and all about, the neuroscience of things and what it's doing.